Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. Police are warning the public about a targeted home invasion that left a couple in their 70s injured. Plus, CBC Windsor is speaking to another family who is racking up a bill for not moving from a hospital bed to a long-term care home. And 1976 was the last time the Windsor Spitfires had the top draft pick. 48 years later, they got that chance again with a pick they say won't disappoint. New details tonight about an alarming home invasion in Windsor's East End. Police say 4 people allegedly posed as police before assaulting and stealing from elderly victims. As the CBC's Chris Ensing reports, police are still searching for one suspect.
Investigators say 4 suspects targeted a home in this neighborhood 3 weeks ago.
This was not a random act. We have evidence to believe that this was a targeted incident.
That attack injuring a couple in their 70s.
2 men wearing masks and carrying a firearm forced their way into a home that is located in the 1400 block of Aspen Shore in the city of Windsor. One of the robbers pointed a firearm at the elderly male home occupant, and the second intruder threw the elderly female home occupant to the ground.
Major Crimes says the intruders claim to be police.
The suspects uttered, words that, said we're the police or something to that effect.
The suspects stole jewelry and fled the scene. Police today announcing 3 arrests this week and a dangerous suspect still on the run.
A 4th male, Mr. Nicholas McCullough, is still outstanding, and his current whereabouts is unknown. Mr. McCullough is also wanted on an unrelated matter for assault caused bodily harm that occurred on March 21st.
Police say the couple did not know the alleged intruders, but were targeted by the 4 men. They will not say why.
We have evidence to support that this was a conspiracy and that it was planned and deliberate attack.
Police offering this advice to people worried about trusting individuals who claim to be officers knocking at their door.
Maybe look out the window before they answer the door. A lot of people now too have Ring cameras as well, so they can utilize that to make sure that the individuals at the door are known to them, and even making sure that their front porch is lit up.
As for 30-year-old Nicholas McCullough,
I'm imploring Mr. McCullough to turn himself in immediately to answer to these charges.
Chris Ensing, CBC News, Windsor.
A 16-year-old has been charged spraying a 15-year-old victim in the face with a harmful chemical after calling them a racial slur. Police say it happened yesterday around 4:30 p.m. in the 2700 block of Lillian Avenue. The victim was taken to hospital with minor injuries. The suspect was arrested at their home and charged with multiple offenses, including assault with a weapon. A Tecumseh woman whose mom is in hospital says she will not be paying any fees in relation to a controversial long-term care law. The policy allows hospitals to charge patients $400 a day if they refuse a long-term care bed chosen on their behalf. Last week, we brought you an exclusive story on this, the government admitting to have charged several people under the policy. The CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa has been looking into this and joins us now live. Jen, why is this family refusing to pay the fees?
Yeah, so Meg, not only can they not afford the $400 a day, but they tell me that they completely disagree with the law. They called it elder abuse. Today I sat down with Michelle Campo. Her 83-year-old mother, Ruth Poupard, is at Hotel du Grace Healthcare in Windsor. She's been recovering from a broken hip and has dementia. In March, she was able to move into a long-term care, but the homes that the family wanted didn't have any beds available. So the hospital found a bed, but it was at a care home that the family didn't want. Here's Campo telling me about what the home was like.
It was horrifying, actually. Right downtown Windsor, there's a code taped to the security code for anybody to punch in and walk in. It took me about 15 minutes to find a staff member. When I finally did, I was given a short tour of where she would be at, and I said, I gotta go. It was just a no. And I did tell hospital staff after that I wouldn't even put my dog in there. So I even asked them to come and look at the place. And they wouldn't do that.
This whole process going through it, how have you been feeling throughout, and what do you hope to see change from it?
It's actually very upsetting. It's very stressful. Not more for me. I mean, it puts a lot on me, but for her. What I want to see change is don't threaten people with this. This is an absolute threat. And there's only so many of us that are going to say, no, you're not threatening me. I just want to see this bill go away. Fix the nursing homes so that they're all acceptable.
She says that under Bill 7, the hospital has been charging her $400 a day since March 11th. And even though she hasn't received a bill yet, she likely owes more than $12,000. Since Campo refused the home and told the hospital that she wouldn't pay the fee, she says the hospital hasn't reached out to her.
And Jenny, what does the hospital have to say about all this?
Yeah, so the hospital says they couldn't comment on this specific situation due to patient confidentiality. But I did ask what the consequences would be if someone didn't pay. Their CEO, Bill Mara, said in an emailed statement that they haven't been confronted with this situation. And as for whether someone could dispute the fee, he said that this is a legislative requirement and that the family and patient are told about this charge well in advance of the patient being discharged. Mara also said that due to patient confidentiality, he couldn't say how many people Hotel Dieu has charged under Bill 7. The Ministry of Health directed me to a fact sheet of theirs, which says that if people have an issue with the charges, they should connect with their hospital's patient relations office. The ministry also didn't say whether there would be consequences if someone doesn't pay.
Thanks so much for that, Jen. That's the CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa reporting live. A new Windsor company is getting a $5 million loan from the province to help it produce battery cell modules for the Nexstar battery plant.
And this incredible new facility you see here today is the company's first manufacturing plant in North America.
The Economic Development Minister made the announcement today at the DS Actimo plant on Wheelton Drive in Windsor. The plant will employ 96 people when it begins production in September. The South Korean company has invested $60 million in the new facility and have plans to expand. Funding of about $4 million was also announced for 3 other projects across the county for a total of about 153 new jobs created in the area. Minister Fedeli hinted at more investment coming to the province this year.
In 3 years, we landed $28 billion worth of electric vehicle business. I would say to you, stand by for 2024, because if you thought 28 billion in 3 years was some kind of a record, which it is, I think 2024 will be a spectacular year all across Ontario.
A Chatham man is facing a charge of assault with a weapon. That weapon, a lit joint. Police say they responded to a dispute between neighbors yesterday evening. A 25-year-old man allegedly flicked a joint at a woman's head. All of this stemming from an argument over a parking space. The man has been arrested, charged, and released. Well, the last time the Windsor Spitfires had the top draft pick was back in 1976. 48 years later, they got that chance again and have selected Oakville's Ethan Belchetz first overall in the league's 2024 draft. The 16-year-old is a 6'5", 230-pound forward, with league scouts saying he has the ability to change the franchise. We spoke with him following the announcement.
The names that have come through this organization are unbelievable. Even recently, Wyatt Johnson, Will Cooley, those guys are very good hockey players, and they're going to do very special things in their careers, and I cannot wait to see where my career goes. I trust the Windsor organization that they're going to develop me, and I'm going to put in all the work. So honestly, I think you got to take it day by day and see where it goes.
We're going to get an immediate impact player to our roster. He can bring it in so many ways, the physical stature, and if you want to play that style of game. But for a guy that size, he actually can play in small areas. He's an elite brain that makes plays around the net, yet hard enough and strong enough to take it to the net and drive the net. So yeah, we've got something here special, and it's just a real exciting day, obviously.
It's going to be a transitioning period. It's going to be tough, but I know my family will support me no matter where I am, and I will call them every single day, talk to them every single day, and the staff in Windsor, the teammates, and all of that, I think if I talk to them, they're all going to be super supportive.
That gloomy, rainy weather has prompted a special weather statement. Our meteorologist Colette Kennedy has all those details coming up. Intimate partner violence is behind dozens of deaths in Canada every year, with most of the victims being women and girls. Ontario's NDP wants the province to pass a bill declaring it an epidemic. Windsor West MPP Lisa Gretzky has been vocal about this. The Ford government saying it's something it supports. But as the CBC's Lorenda Redicop reports, there's concern the bill is a long way from passing.
There is absolutely no need for the government to delay declaring intimate partner violence an epidemic.
There was frustration today from the opposition that the government is moving too slowly on intimate partner violence.
Survivors can't wait any longer for your committees, your public hearings, your consultations. They have been consulted. The experts have been heard.
In a surprise move yesterday, the government pledged support for an NDP bill to label intimate partner violence an epidemic, but then sent it to a committee for further study. Today, a much different tone.
It's one word, epidemic.
Question.
Will this government declare and push through fast-track Bill 173?
What we will do is the next phase, Mr. Speaker, the work that is needed to properly support victims.
Thank you.
But opposition parties say it's taken too long already and worry this will be delayed and never pass. Labeling intimate partner violence an epidemic was the top recommendation of a coroner's inquest jury 2 years ago in Renfrew County. 3 women were killed. Today, the Premier defended his government's move.
It's one thing to pass legislation, nothing happens. Let's put some teeth into this, bring it to the Justice Committee, and drill down.
He also says his government is putting $1.4 billion over 4 years at gender-based violence.
And then he shot her through the door.
Ford also spoke on the phone last night with a Sault Ste. Marie man whose daughter was killed by her former partner.
You want to talk about a hard conversation. You talk to a father that lost his daughter, his kids. Oh my goodness, it just rips your heart out.
That father, Brian Sweeney, says he's hopeful with the province's move.
To me, it's a step in the right direction. My daughter was a beautiful soul.
He says pushing for change and more supports has turned into a full-time job for him.
Our government's supposed to keep us safe, but if we're not safe in our own home anymore, then what good is all this policing and everything if nobody's going to enforce it? Stop all this terrible nonsense.
He says his call with the Premier was brief, but he's supposed to talk more with a member of the Premier's staff. Lorenda Redicop, CBC News, Toronto.
You weren't joking about that rain, Colette. It rained for a good portion of the day today.
Yeah, and we're not necessarily done with the rain either, right?
Okay, but I will say one thing about the rain is everything looks 10 times more green, really, over the past almost 24 hours, it feels like.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're going in that direction because there are benefits, right? There are things that we look for, hoping that we don't have to worry about some flooding or things like that when we get soaking amounts of rain. And as I say, there's more to come. But yeah, things greening up and setting us up nicely for later in April and our May flowers as well, right? So we do have a special weather statement that's in place. And yes, through Windsor, Leamington, Chatham, Kent, Sarnia, and it stretches on off from there all the way towards eastern Ontario for the amounts of rain, because there is still more to come, but also combined with some strong winds coming our way. Now, for now, it has been mild. So there's one of the other positives from this system rolling through. And you can see those temperatures still holding essentially near the mid-teens, a little bit cooler towards Kitchener, but 16 degrees still for Windsor. But yeah, we may be into a break here, but you see some of the heavier rain to the east, some back to the west, and let's just take a bigger look. And the big picture shows this area of low pressure is not done with us because this is all flowing northward. So all of this still coming our way, even if it does come in bands and rotates around. And still some lightning in here, some lightning strikes with some stronger storms towards Kentucky and parts of Ohio. And so some embedded thunderstorms later on tonight, a slightly higher chance into eastern Ontario, but the risk here in southwestern Ontario too. And so that does mean locally even more rainfall possible in some of these different pockets. So there's that rotation carrying on. This is still tomorrow night, another wave coming through. And then watch as the colder air meets this system. It's going to change some of this over to some light snow, perhaps even some accumulations heading up towards the Georgian Bay, a few centimeters up to 5 centimeters. What is nice is Saturday, watch that clearing line, how we're going to see the sun coming out. It'll turn into a pretty nice day Saturday, although in some cases still a breezy from the winds. And then another system comes in Saturday night into Sunday, which will bring the chance of showers back into the forecast and some cloud cover back into. So some of the additional rain still looking at over 30 millimeters to come. And again, locally, that could go up with a thunderstorm or two. The winds will be picking up, and look at some of these winds into tomorrow morning, even tomorrow evening, especially pushing up towards Goderich. This model might be overplaying it a bit, but there are new special weather statements in that area because of the strength of some of the winds coming. So overnight tonight, our temperature will eventually drop, and then it becomes nearly steady, but mild for now. And then as we move forward, we get that nice bonus day as we go into Saturday. some milder air coming our way too as we get into next week. And maybe that's overplaying it a bit too, Meg, but I think it looks pretty warm.
It does, as long as that purple stays away from us, that purple snow.
Yes, yes, and so far it is, so that's good.
Perfect. Thanks so much for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
Former NFL superstar OJ Simpson has died. We have more details coming up after the break. The family of former NFL superstar OJ Simpson say he has died of cancer at the age of 76. Simpson was acquitted of double murder in 1995 in a trial that captivated the world. He was accused in the killings of his ex-wife and her friend, and though he beat the charges, the sports icon became a pariah. CBC's Cameron McIntosh has more.
They won't get him.
From the beginning, he was a star.
80 yards for O.J. Simpson.
A U.S. College Heisman Trophy winner.
Here's O.J. Simpson breaking through.
Who became an NFL legend, a Hall of Famer. Later, a top sports broadcaster.
Nobody does it better than her.
Who also found success in commercials and movies. O.J. Simpson was a beloved American icon who lost it all live in real time. That infamous 1994 white Bronco chase, one of the most watched events in television history. Simpson fleeing police amid suspicions. He killed his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman.
He's been impeached with his own voice.
The following so-called trial of the century, a cultural fascination, which split America down racial lines, arguing over the fit of a glove.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
That line took on a life of its own, while the trial itself changed the U.S. justice system, normalizing cameras in courts and trials portrayed on TV as dramas.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder.
Simpson was acquitted, but his name was far from cleared. He was found liable in civil court for the deaths and ordered to pay the families more than $30 million. He never did, claiming bankruptcy. Legal and financial troubles never went away as he became a pariah. In 2008, a confrontation at a Las Vegas hotel led to a conviction for armed robbery. He went to prison for 9 years and was released in 2017.
Hey, Twitter world, this is yours truly.
The following years were marked by sketchy social media posts and opportunistic cameos. Through it all, he maintained his claims of innocence. The story of his rise and fall, now over, remains a touchstone of modern American history. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The federal government has unveiled its plan to make home ownership affordable for more Canadians. Topping the list is allowing some first-time buyers 30-year amortization rather than 25.
These are all real, tangible measures that are going to help more Canadians get into the housing market and buy their first home, while protecting Canadians who already own their own home.
The longer amortization change applies to first-time buyers purchasing a newly built home on insured mortgages. Current rules limit amortization to 25 years if the down payment is less than 20% of the home price. The Canadian Home Builders Association has been pushing for the 30-year period. Other measures include permitting larger withdrawals from RRSPs for down payments and requiring lenders to offer permanent amortization relief to borrowers meeting certain criteria. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre delivered a keynote speech today at a networking conference supporting Canada's conservative movement. It comes as the federal Conservatives seek to widen their lead in the polls against the governing Liberals. CBC's Olivia Stefanovic has more.
Please join me in welcoming the common sense Conservative, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Poilievre.
It's a title the opposition leader is hearing more often these days.
Merci beaucoup. Who's ready to axe the tax?
With his party soaring in the national polls, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is on a mission to solidify his lead and topple his main political rival.
See, the thing is, it's not that Justin Trudeau is too liberal. It's that he's not liberal at all.
In a speech before a Conservative networking conference, Poilievre took shot after shot at the Prime Minister and got personal.
Pierre Elliott Trudeau famously plagiarized when he said that the government had no place in the bedrooms of the nation. Now, his son wants the government to be in every room of your house and your business.
National polls show Poilievre's strategy is paying off. A new survey by Abacus Data shows the Tories 20 points ahead of the Liberals, their biggest lead yet.
It's very exciting for Conservatives to finally have that person in place and to charge people who are under 40 and get them going and get them excited.
We're on the cusp of a new energy, a new movement in this country.
This despite a flurry of pre-budget announcements by the federal government, amounting to tens of billions of dollars in promises.
As much as the Liberals are trying to take control of the agenda, demonstrate to people that they have a plan, it doesn't seem to be working to change people's minds.
This pollster says Canadians are being drawn to Poilievre's messaging on affordability, a focus that he says is bleeding support from all parties.
They're picking up significant numbers from former Liberal voters, from former New Democrat voters, from former People's Party of Canada party supporters.
With the federal election more than a year away, he says there could be a risk for the Conservatives peaking too early, but only if voters are convinced a change in government would be worse than the status quo. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
The ancient Roman city of Pompeii has yielded another stunning find. It's a banquet room with breathtaking murals that have been preserved for nearly 2,000 years. They're fresco paintings executed in the plaster as it dried. One depicts Apollo and Cassandra, a second Helen of Troy, and the Trojan prince Paris. And there are more. There's also a mosaic floor of 1 million individual tiles. The Mount Vercesis volcano rendered Pompeii a tomb in the year 79. A third of the city still remains under the ancient volcanic debris. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.